out of the discussion in the audience, who knows who owns Blue Band? Who knows who owns the product Blue Band? From the audience? Okay. Who knows who owns the product Blue Band? It was also a surprise to me when I had learned this. Okay. Oh, okay, interesting. Flo, I hope you can see.
Yes, I'm seeing the answers and I'm getting a bit traumatized.
Is there politics in the spreads business before we even look at it at the workplace?
Is there politics in the
spreads business? I think you guys are in the business of spreads.
Yes, in the spreads business, definitely there is politics, and that's what is arising from the potential owners of Blue Band. And this becomes a marketing campaign because, of course, you've got the Bidcos, Unilever, you've got Kappa Oil, you've got Upfield, various great companies that manufacture spreads. And of course, each have got different kind of products that they put into place. But in a nutshell, let me talk about the Blue Band brand, but more in terms of who owns Blue Band. So Blue Band was part of the baking, cooking, and spreads division of Unilever. And in 2017, a global decision was made to be able to sell off the baking, cooking, and spreads division globally from Unilever to a private equity company known as KKR. So KKR bought up Unilever, the Unilever Baking, Cooking, and Spreads division. On 1st June 2018, the company officially transitioned from Unilever to Upfield, to KKR. And now within KKR portfolio, we're now known as Upfield. So Upfield is the global plant-based spreads producers. So we not only produce Blue Band, but we also produce Flora, Country Crock, Rama, and we also produce products such as cooking creams all over the world. So KKR is a private equity company. You can just Google it up. It's an acronym of a number of owners of it. It's an American private equity company. So Blue Band is currently manufactured by Upfield Kenya. And that's the employer that I work for. I hold the role as the HR director for Upfield for Africa, Middle East, and Asia. We've got a span of about 13 countries within my jurisdiction, and Blue Band is one of our prominent brands.
Okay, thanks a lot, Flo. Back to workplace politics. Dr. Mugo, are there good politicians and bad politicians at our workplace?
Actually, when you look at politics, which you can also find in my book, there are 4 animals that represent politics in the workplace. So basically, you'll decide what kind of animal you are. We have what we call the owl. The owl is the wise person. Remember, by the way, let me start by saying that politics is unavoidable. If you want to be promoted, politics and functional politics. There are those who play dysfunctional politics, but I'm talking about functional politics. So you can either be an owl. An owl is that person who is wise. They know what is happening around, and they are aware of the things that are happening around politically. They are politically savvy, so to speak. They have their own interests, yeah? So they are politically aware, but they use politics for their own interests. Then you have the donkey. The donkey is not politically aware. They are just there. Then you have the sheep, and I think that's where most of us are. They are politically aware, yes, but they do nothing. There are these nice guys who tell you, hey, I don't want to play politics. So in the organization, you will find those kind of animals. But yes, there are those who play dysfunctional politics, who play politics that will inhibit the performance of the organization. So you can have not really bad and good, but functional and dysfunctional politics in the workplace.
So, thanks, Daktari. Flo, maybe you could share your experience around workplace politics. What has been your experience so far in your career?
So in my career, and I'll respond to you, Martin, as a HR practitioner, because as a HR leader, I get caught in between the politics happening between leaders and employees across the board. And it has, at the beginning of my career, it was quite a dicey place to be, because I was not necessarily sure where I can be able to support or where I can be able to give my insights and how I can be able to influence that kind of environment. But over time, one of the things that I have seen that has helped me guide my ability to navigate the political element at the workplace is clearly defining, first of all, what are the main principles that we are playing here? Is it an element of power or is it an element of people? And from an element of power, I normally say that people who come into HR driven by power, they forget that at the end of the day, they're actually there for the employees. And that's where the people element comes in. And everyone, on the call, especially the HR practitioners, they know the four major parts of what us as HR people we are meant to be. We are meant to be change agents. We are meant to be employee champions. We are meant to be strategic partners, and we're meant to be administrative experts. Now, if I, as a HR leader, Martin, if I don't balance those four quadrants, then politics is going to come in a very negative way. If in my particular place, if I look for myself as, let's say, as an administrative expert, the basic things in HR, for example, right from when we are hiring people, onboarding, if we do that incorrectly, if we don't give people the right information, but give another group of people the right information, we give a group information that they need, another group, we don't give them the right information. If you're not following the basics in terms of principles and processes at the workplace, that it causes an element of dysfunction. Now, that element of dysfunction is what leads to negative politics, because there'll be groups talking about being favored, there'll be groups talking about having more information. Again, from a HR practitioner point of view, we have access to payrolls, we've got access to salaries and rewards, we have the responsibility to ensure we safeguard that information and it doesn't leak out. But if this information leaks out even from ourselves, or even as we are interacting casually with our associates, they get to know this information, this harmony gets caused there, people start talking, they start backbiting, they now try and fight the battles to go and speak to your leader to try and get a better salary or to try and look for promotion. So I have resulted to the fact that if we as HR practitioners, and with especially from my experience, balancing that particular quadrant, making sure that as a change champion, I employ the right change. As a strategic business partner, I influence the business, then I can be able to influence the politics at that particular level based on facts, not out of emotions. And once I've been able to set up my processes and systems and they're working in place, there are areas where people can come up, rise up and ask questions, and if they have any concerns, they know who to reach out to. Once the basics from a HR point of view are set up in place, then the rest for us as a HR person, I've realized it's for me to be the voice of influence from a strategic point of view to influence that particular culture. So I realized that I have a very big say in how that particular culture will be. It can be negative, it can be positive, simply because HR has said it. So at the end of the day, the bottom line is the wisdom that is needed as a HR person to be able to determine how they can be able to influence a situation from a cultural point of view in a positive manner.
Thank you, Flo. Dr. There is a question here for you from Alice. How do you differentiate, I guess, workplace politics if it is functional or dysfunctional politics that earns one career growth? What feel like dysfunctional and false network win at the end of the day? Your comments, Dr.
Enhance the performance of the organization. Dysfunctional politics, on the other hand, bring in issues to do with mistrust. People don't trust one another. People basically are playing their politics. And remember, I said politics is about power, is about influence, is about networks. So when you play dysfunctional politics, there's a lot of tension. There's a lot of politics, a lot of backstabbing, a lot of gossip, which by the way, even gossip is in my book, how you can use gossip to your advantage. There's a lot of manipulation. And basically, allow me to say this, Martin, that hard work and talent is I think that's where most of us miss it, especially HR guys, because they are nice people. They are expected to, you see, talent is good, hard work is good, but I don't know politics. Please note, without functional politics, you are not likely to move up the ladder. That's why you find very nice people working so hard, and everyone keeps asking, hey, how come so and so? How comes Ali's worked so hard and has never been promoted? Another guy comes, works just not too hard, but works, plays some functional politics, and they are promoted. So it is functional politics that will get you promoted. And let me give an example. When you play functional politics, basically, let's say, for example, I'm a dean of faculty, and I need a few resources. I need things to be done. But even resources in organizations are allocated depending on how the head plays politics, because the resources are not as much. So playing politics, even in your own house, Martin, they are politics. That's why children will ask their mother for something and ask their father for another, and they send a specific person to do that. That is politics. They know who is able to influence the mother faster, who is able to influence the father faster. So basically, you've got to play those functional politics for you to go up, for you to be promoted in your career ladder. Otherwise, if you are a sheep, which I said is basically you don't know, you don't play politics, you are a nice person, you keep saying me, I don't like gossip, I don't like politics, you'll just be there and remain there. So functional politics will get you to the top. I hope I've answered the question.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Flo, so we did a research sometime in 2018, and one of the reasons we found people, HR is not moving to the board, key was avoiding politics. Mm-hmm. So, and from, what do you think? Because HR has been sitting on the corner office doing its work and not wanting to make their hands dirty with politics. Are we actually going to get to the board level if we just continue like that?
Well, I mean, the beauty about this, Martin, is that we are actually sitting in a lot of boards now. HR has actually been able to find a place in the boardroom. And it's simply because of the voice of reason that we bring in a boardroom environment. Politics is a welcome endeavor, but it shall not be the determining factor of why people are promoted, why people grow. And the reason why we insisted, and we are now sitting in boards, is simply because when we are talking about the strategic vision and the growth of an organization, when politics are actually being put in that particular environment and discussed, HR is very key in being able to influence the decisions that are made to ensure that they are sober. And I think what has been detrimental, Martin, especially within the Kenyan market, has been that when you get HR leaders who are easily swayed, who are easily swayed. So they are not necessarily stuck in terms of their stance and their principles. They are not necessarily thinking in terms of their business growth They're not necessarily thinking of the employees and how they're going to be protected. Once they know exactly what they stand for and what they carry for and what they bring onto the table, they can be able to articulate and fight the agenda that could be brought there about. Therefore, be able to actually influence the politics that is already being discussed at that particular table. So we are already getting our places into the boardrooms. And I think one of my great successes has been one of the recent appointments in KCB, whereby one of the former HR directors has now moved to become one of the managing directors of the bank. And I think it's phenomenal. It tells us that HR is no longer being sidelined, but we are realizing that we also do have competencies and strengths that can also be able to influence and navigate the vision of an organization.
Okay. Thank you, Flo. Daktari, something just came back into my mind about how people say playing your cards right. Is actually politics playing your cards right? Or it's playing the cards right without, you can relate to that. Is workplace politics playing your cards right or playing the right cards at the right time?
You know, Martin, the point of the matter is that even in the boardrooms that we sit in, because we sit in boardrooms, there is a lot of politics. You must build your networks. I'll tell you, even in public institutions like where I am, even in interviews, there's a lot of politics that is played, because in public sector, you give marks. That's why you see people around every time complaining, oh, how come so-and-so is not the one who got the job? What I'm saying is, you must be, let me put it this way, you have to be in the right place at the right time if you have to really perform. But remember, as Flo said, we are not saying that hard work is not good. We are not saying that you shouldn't be qualified, but we are all qualified. You see, that's the way you should think. I am as qualified as you are. We are okay, the two of us, who will get the job, who will be promoted. You must have a way of getting to know who actually has the real power. You see, I keep saying, which I've also put in my book very well, people who are powerful are not necessarily the CEOs, by the way. There are people who have what we call access power. And I think HR is one of them. They have access power because they are the ones who know exactly what is happening. You see, if I'm not playing my politics well to know when promotions are going to happen in my institution and then they catch me by surprise, then I'll not be promoted. PAs, secretaries, those are guys who have access power, who will tell you, hey, if you want your proposal to go through, this is what you might need to do. And sometimes we may think they are small. So for me, it's actually having, having the formal aspect of it, but at the same time, understanding that even with all these that I have, if I don't build my networks around the influence, then I may not do much with as much as I would want to do a lot. So that influence around the people who wield the influence itself, building those networks is really what matters. Not only now, even before. I would want to know how many of us have been promoted only because. In fact, even the jobs we get, when you do your surveys, the best way to get a job is someone else tells someone else that, hey, I know Flo does a good job. Now that is politics, really, if you look at it critically. So you must be able to have networks. Even the books I write, I sell them through networks. So it's politics. Everybody must play. Remember, I said functional politics. You're not gossiping anybody. You're not backstabbing anybody. You're just using your networks to get things done. Because if you don't use your networks to get things done, you'll always be lamenting. You'll always be defensive. You'll always be saying this company only favors this department or this faculty. It's just that you are a nice person, very qualified, but you really don't know. And by the interpersonal skills are very important in politics. You must be someone who is able to talk to people, motivate people, and keep in touch. You don't just call people when you have a problem in the organization. You only call HR because your card is not working for hospital. Call HR to say hi and find out how they are doing, Interpersonal skills, all that is politics, Martin. So do the right thing at the right time and also be at the right place at the right time.
Okay, thanks, Dr. Now I want to ask the question, the audience a question. And as our brothers in Nigeria say, using your church mind. On chat, with a yes or a no, have you used politics to either gain a promotion or to get a job? And kindly use your church mind. So let's just be honest. Have you used politics to land yourself a job or to land yourself a promotion? Yes for yes, and okay, great. Someone is yet to use that. Okay. A job and a promotion. Okay. So, Flo, as people are responding to this, let me ask, how then do you use politics, workplace politics, how do you do the balance, and then how do you use it for your own personal, for career growth, good career growth?
Okay, balance and then career growth.
Yes.
All right. Okay. So for balance, I will say, how do you use, okay. For balance, I will say that, and again, just leveraging what Dr. Mugo has said, it's got everything to do with what is your end goal. Now, as you're thinking of your career growth and how you intend to grow, you need to balance a couple of things. So what she's basically talked about, influence networks, achievements, and then there's something else that I will add on, like executive presence. So the executive presence of you as an individual at the workplace is how you are portrayed, how you are seen. And it is actually a follow-up of your corridor talk. Now, there is the corridor talk that people talk about you in your face, and then there is the corridor talk that your bosses talk about you that you might not necessarily be aware of, right? And you need to ensure that whatever your workplace performance goals that you intend to achieve and do, the KPIs that you have been hired to do, as you're doing them, you need to also balance this particular element of influencing the networks and the people that you're interacting with. When I talk about executive presence, I talk about you and how when you interact and meet with your CEO on the corridor, what are the kind of discussions that you have with him? First of all, does your CEO even know your name? Do they even know you exist? Does your 1/1, in fact, let's even not go to your CEO, does your 1/1 know that you actually exist? Have you had a chat with them? Do they know who you are? Can you consider them a potential sponsor in future career options that could be there? Have you been able to leverage other potential leaders who are above you, who are your boss's peers? Do they know you? Do they know what you deliver? And what again is that corridor reputation? Are you the kind of person who your say-do ratio is, if I tell Flo to do something, I know she will do it? Or no, no, don't count on Flo, she will not be able to do it. The say-do ratio also matters. So your performance has to go commensurate with your particular network. And I do agree with Dr. that yes, you can be performing well and nobody knows you exist. And therefore opportunities do come in and you're overtaken, unfortunately, simply because your name is not coming to mind. But the fact that you've been able to leverage senior leaders, they're able to know who you are. They have been able to hear your achievements. You've been able to put up your hand to lead in projects that are cross-functional. You've been able to lead in extracurricular activities, and they know that you actually do exist. And they have seen your leadership capability. Building such networks, them seeing your portfolio, them knowing your CV from not only what you do, but what they hear and say, now that is how you can be able to use politics to grow yourself internally.
No, I'm actually now confused. I thought I get a job, I go to work, do my job, go home. Now I even have to start other things that I don't even know how to do. So can we learn politics, workplace politics?
Martin, it's actually, it's a skill that is not necessarily trained in school, but I wish it was trained in school. it is what we need to learn very quickly when we enter into the workplace is that you're not working as a silo. You're working as part of a community. So therefore, you need to be able to learn how to integrate in that community and work with other people, and also be able to be made visible. Now, if you're fine to work with a silo, and there are people who are like that, Martin, that's okay. But if you intend to grow, the ability to network, to talk, and learn, in fact, be able to articulate yourself to your seniors, to your peers, to your colleagues. The 360 review is very critical for your growth. And that is basically politics in a nutshell. And that's politics in a positive way in terms of career growth, Martin.
Perfect. Thanks, Flo. Daktari, so let me just ask, because I'm seeing on chat talk about performance management and stuff. Is there a management tools that if organizations adopt, then it's actually not what people think, or rather the politics people play, but the work talks for itself. Like if say you're using a balanced scorecard, or you're using OKR, those management tools, are there some that reduce the impact of workplace politics, and it's actually what you do that talks for you?
Martin, I think you need to buy my book. You know, promotion is not politics based. Let's first get it right. But we are saying on top of your performance, you must play some functional politics. And let me tell you the truth. Even performance appraisals are subjective in nature. You know, it is how your boss thinks you are performing. You may have all those things and say, I was supposed to achieve this, and you've achieved all, and another 3 people have achieved the same. So why would your CEO settle on you and the other 2? And as Flo said, what comes to the mind of your boss? You should always ask yourself that. When there's an opportunity, what comes to them? Who comes to the mind of the boss? And why? You know, and that's not canvassing. I've seen someone asking about canvassing. That's not canvassing. You're saying that I have done my job. And by the way, let me help HR people. Work does not speak for itself. You do something I call in my book self-promotion. Let people know what you are doing. For example, I'll tell you, when I saw my boss first, he actually told me he knew my name before he saw me. And I saw him after he had stayed for 6 months. He told me, Mugo, I knew you. Oh, this is the Mugo. That tells you something. And that is why even sometimes gossip is good, depending on what people are saying. And I'll tell you, even bosses know, if you want to know the truth, call Mugo. If you want to be cheated, call so-and-so. They know it. So the question then is, as you do your work, do people know you are doing it? You know, we say in marketing, because I do both strategic HR and marketing, that if you have a good product flow and nobody knows it, only you knows it, it's like a guy who winks at night at a girl. He's always there saying, hey, I really winked. But does even the girl know? So the issue is, do they know you are a performer? And by the way, the self-promotion can be done by the people that you think are not even important. The self-promotion can be done by the secretary to the CEO. When there's something coming up and you hear the secretary say something like, hey, I think Flo can do this well. And or the boss decides that they are going to give Peter, and the secretary says, hey, I don't think Peter will do this well. Oh, that is politics. So basically, work is good, but you must get you must be known by your bosses that you are working. And by there, allow me to say that you must build your networks outside your department. That's another problem with HR guys. They're just around themselves. You need to build networks outside there, because you are not in a cocoon. You are not on your own. And you know, those old days, people feared HR because it was firing and hiring. Now you need to be more strategic. You need to talk to other people and get to know, hey, what happens in accounts? What happens here? Because you cannot contribute strategically unless you understand the entire organization. So work does not speak. You speak yourself, Martin. And buy my book.
Daktari, so as we are helping HR, there is Lucy Kilu is asking, how do you handle poor performers who who survive through these politics? Daktari.
Now, you know, poor performers will survive once, not a long time, for the simple reason. And by then, sometimes you can do work and your boss takes all the credit, okay? So you also need to know how to ensure that people get to know it is not Mary Mugo who is working, it is the chairperson of department. If Mary Mugo is a bad boss, you know, there are those bosses who never appreciate the work done by others, yeah? But you see, if you are a poor performer, I can assure you politics can only save you once. After that, you'll go. For the simple reason, if the person who you report to also knows how to play functional politics, and sometimes dysfunctional in terms of, you see, we also say that they can, if a boss wants, they can set you up for failure. That's also politics. They just decide to give you something that is so critical and you don't do nothing because you don't know. And then you just show everybody. So I can assure you poor performers survive just a little. After that, they are gone. Because at the end of the day, you can't play politics forever, number one. Number two, networks change. Number three, bosses change. So you can't always be there and doing nothing and surviving politically. However much a fox you can be or clever you can be.
Thank you, Daktari. Flo, two things. You've taught us a new word, executive presence. Maybe
yes.
you can touch a little bit on that. And then also, politics, workplace politics seems to be the extrovert playground. What do we do, introverts like us? And we have a feeling there's someone who commented that introverts rarely get promoted because they just do exactly what I say. They go to work, do their best, and we have heard work does not speak for itself.
All right, so okay, let me start with executive presence. Executive presence is how the executive or the leadership of the organizations perceive you. Now, and basically, can they send you to represent the organization? Now, for you to be able to represent the organization, you cannot just be shoddy at your work. You cannot be shoddy at how you take care of yourself in terms of your grooming, in terms of how you articulate yourself, in terms of your written word, in terms of your spoken word. So it's really an element of elegance that is needed that can be able to truly represent an organization well. And for one to grow into a C-suite role, you need to be able to be to have that nailed properly. And at times it might even mean that you have to actually go to a coach who literally will tell you, this is how you will, this is how we speak, this is how you write. And from a HR point of view, we've been able to actually support our employees at the workplace to be able to actually develop that particular presence. Now, and it's very critical, especially in growth, because it gives you opportunities for the organization to allow you to represent them in forums, so that you can be able to talk about the company in itself. Now, talking about extroverts and introverts, do extroverts gain in politics? I will say yes and no. So by nature, and I know some of my members of my team are on the call, they'll probably laugh at this, but they do know I'm very introverted by nature. But one of the things that I have realized that when it comes to the workplace environment, you have no option but to be able to leverage the networks that you have. You can start out initially as an introvert, that I agree. But the one thing you need to accept even as an introvert is that you cannot do everything by yourself. You are not a silo, you are not alone in that work environment. You need to interact with people. And in the process of you interacting with people, that element of networking and getting to interact with others enables you to be able to leverage yourself as a solid member of that particular organization. You don't have to do it loudly. You don't have to be screaming about it, but the fact that you have been able to identify who could be the influencers, they're able to know who you are, they know what your vision and mission is, and they know what you are able to achieve, then they can be able to front for you, regardless of whether you're an introverted person or an extroverted person. The other thing that I've also seen, and from where I am seated, I tend to see extroverted people tend to be great, wonderful people, especially in the marketing and the sales environment. But I've also seen very senior, serious CEOs who are introverted by nature, but because they learned very quickly that they needed the power of networks to be able to grow. In their subtle, quiet nature, they were able to build alliances, to be able to build confidences, and in the process, they were able to grow up. So I will say it does not matter, to be honest. Extrovert or introvert, you can still be able to use politics for your own growth.
Thank you very much, Flo. So Lucy, there's something I learned a few years back. Your morning begins when you wake up. So don't regret that it is now you are knowing, now is your morning starting. Daktari, I don't know if you're still there with us.
Yes, I'm back.
Okay, so question for you, do overall organizational objectives or goals determine the kind of politics that play out in the workplace? This is from a question from Mwapili Mwakodi.
Yeah, for the simple reason that, as I said, politics are those unwritten rules. They are unwritten rules that determine who gets what, how, and when, you know? So you may have objectives actually and never achieve them, not because you are not a good worker, but because the resources are not coming your way. So politics will play a great role. And I think we need to remove the notion that we are talking about politics in terms of Kenyan politics. I think that's where the problem is. People think when you talk politics, you are talking about these senators who go and say bad things in parliament, blah, blah. No. We are talking about being able to use the networks that you have to get things done, because it determines whether those objectives you'll achieve or not. It determines the kind of money that you'll be given on your objectives. And we all know I'm a holder of a strategic management PhD, you know. However good your strategy is, without support from management, without resources, it is as good as nothing. So it doesn't matter what is written. What matters is how well you're able to get the resources to actualize what you have written. And allow me to say something about introverts, because I teach HR, and I feel not all, but most of them, yes, are introverts. But you see, even introverts play politics. It's just actually most introverts play, and forgive me for this, they play bad politics because people think they are nice. So there are these people you you hear out there, you say, hey, Flo said this and this, and the boss is like, Flo cannot say that, no. But you say Mugo said, Mugo is around. So it's not whether you're introvert or not, but if you're an introvert, you can play your politics by ensuring that other people promote your work. That's why networks are important. You get an extrovert who is close to the boss and they are always talking, they'll go and say, hey, by the Flo did this, Flo did this. Those are called gossips that will help you go up also. Those good gossips which people, you can find them in those gossips that go and promote you and say, hey, you know, Flo does a good job. I think she can do better if you give her more money. That's all politics. So however much, Martin, your objectives are written, if they are not supported by the executive, as Flo says, you must have that executive aspect. If they are not supported by the resources that you're given, you will always be underperforming, and therefore you'll never be promoted.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. So, Flo, I think something you said we started, HR normally finds itself squarely at the center of the political fires in the organization. How does HR maintain sanity in all this? Because everyone is just bringing everything to you, and you're involved in every. I think you would be the supporting character if the workplace politics was a key supporting character if workplace politics was a movie. So how does HR maintain sanity? in all this?
So let me answer you with a very interesting scenario. One of my seniors in the HR profession, which is something that has really helped me leveraging my older colleagues, told me of a scenario whereby somebody came to him with a gossip issue. And he said, kubwa nimekuja, da, about so-and-so. So what he did was this. He said, okay, sawa. So he called the other person. So-and-so, I have so-and-so here saying, umesema da. Of course, the other person went into panic mode. And the message went very quickly in the organization. Do not come to HR with gossip. So it starts by us as HR people, not necessarily entertaining malicious gossip. When it comes to elements of entertaining things that are not true, they need to know that if they come to HR, we are going to push back and verify and ask for facts. We need to be very clear that when it comes to any HR decisions and influences we make, and even when we're influencing our business leaders, our CEOs, our managers, supervisors, we are coming from an element of trust, of an element of trust. They're already trusting us. They're trusting us already. So if they come and say, HR aliniambia this, HR told me this, they will already take that as the gospel truth. So because we are meant to be the one who are like the umpire in this whole entire situation, we have to be received in the organization and determine what is malicious and what is not. And it's all fact-based. HR practitioners have the processes, the systems, and even if you don't ask, reach out to another peer HR, ask them, what do I do in this particular scenario? Sieve the situation and be able to ensure that the decisions that are made are based out of facts. I tend to believe, Martin, that we as HR, we can be able to determine the toxicity in the organization, or we can be able to quell the toxicity. So if we decide to fuel it by us amplifying it with our drama as HR, then it will be seen as the gospel truth, and it will actually become such a negative culture at the workplace. As HR, our roles and responsibility when it comes to politics at the workplace, especially when it's coming eventually to making decisions, we have to ensure that we are fair, just, and we are fact-based. We need to push back rumors, push back maliciousness, challenge leaders who have not been, who are subjective instead of being objective. And that's the only way as HR we can be able to influence the political arena at the workplace. Because at the end of the day, remember, we are making decisions that are affecting people's lives. This one person that you're making a decision for, based on this particular scenario, has a family, has a whole village back home waiting on him. And you cannot be careless because you happen to be in a position whereby you have the power to determine the good or the bad of a person. So whatever we say has to be based out of fact. We have to be fair, just, and be able to influence that decision. And hence, from a political point of view, we have curbed the problem of negative politics at the workplace.
Thank you, Flo. So 4 minutes before we close this session, if there's any burning question, I'd like to request, you can put it on chat. Daktari, 1 minute, you can tell us where to get your books and how to get them.
Okay, thank you, Martin. Let me show them because I'd carried it. This is the book for HR guys, How to Thrive, Influence Your Workplace. And the key topics in this book, Martin, is workplace politics, gossip and cynicism, workplace bullying, workplace harassment, manipulation, toxic employees, how do you deal with them, impression management, and how you can be empowered at the workplace. If you need this book, just call my number if you are in Kenya, 0776 045-087. That is if you're in Kenya. If you're outside Kenya, they are on Amazon. You can buy them from Amazon. And the book is available in Amazon in Kenya. I'm giving it, it's actually a 1 month old. 95 copies within that one. A copy over one. So go to 0776 045 087. If you're outside Kenya, please buy it from Amazon. It's available in Amazon. I know because of the things you know.
Okay, Dr. You'll share with me
those buy e-copy and then they forward everywhere.
Dr. You'll share with me those contacts, and as we are sending today's video recording, I'm saying you'll send us those contact details, and then we can send it out together with today's video recording. So a question for you.
That is fine.
Someone is asking, Victor, Dr. Mugo, are you advising us to be gossiping to get promotion? What happened to professionalism, transparency, accountability, and morals? Promotion on merit.
No, I am not advising anyone to gossip. In fact, you should never gossip, but you should never not know what is happening around. What kind of an HR manager will you be if you don't know what is happening around? So you are not gossiping. You are just getting to know what is happening around. And by the way, you must never soil yourself by gossiping or by backstabbing others. But believe you me, gossiping is normal in an organization, and anybody who is strategic should be gossiped positively. Positively.
Okay, Flo, closing remarks. Closing as we end this session.
Closing remarks, HR leaders, HR practitioners, you can either make or break your organization. You have a choice. You can determine how it's going to go. And my advice to you is let's use our influence as HR to impact the politics at the workplace in a positive way.
Perfect. Thank you very much. Daktari, closing remarks.
My closing remarks is work hard, use your talent, and play functional politics. And when you succeed, remember us. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Flo and Dr. Mugo. And also, I'd like to thank a special participant in this session for actually introducing us to Flo. And we thank you very much, Flo, for making the time. And Liz, we appreciate your effort. We'd like to request the audience to rate this session on a scale of 1 to 5. What's the rating of this session? And you can give your feedback honestly, how your feedback helps us to structure this session. Thank you very much. The recording of this session will be shared at least about an hour from now, and I hope you can have a review of it. Next week's sessions, we will be sharing the logins on email. Can we get contacts of these great presenters? Need some mentorship. Dennis, we will share that. Helen, I see a raised hand. If you can type on chat. And I think, thank you very much, everyone. Now, kindly check your spam mail for maybe our emails that are ending up in your spam mail. We send to everyone who's registered for any of our sessions. And then kindly, we would request if you can check us out on YouTube, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and then you can be able to be viewing the video sessions at your convenience. We will share the contact of the speaker, the panelist, so for opening communication, and we'll appreciate. Thank you very much. And someone is asking for more time. We will share. We want to raise your appetite on some things. Flo, I'm seeing a business opportunity here for you, executive presence training. So the purpose of this one now is to whet appetites on specific areas. So we will be sharing our other sessions where people can take further sessions. So we'd like to thank everyone for this participating in this session. Join us next week's session. Next week, we're doing learning and development, and we will also be looking at organization culture. We'll be dissecting some research done by Connection X with Anne Kapianga, and we would like to welcome you to those sessions also. Thank you very much, everyone, and have a great day, and have a nice week too. Thank you very much. And now remember, always keep learning.